Now, if you turn to section 112, this is where Joseph Smith has to deal more directly with the problems that are happening in Kirtland. And the problems in this section center around a man named Thomas B. Marsh, who was the president of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles. Thomas was the original president of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles in this dispensation. And if he had remained faithful, it's likely that he, instead of Brigham Young, would have taken Joseph Smith's place when Joseph Smith was martyred in 1844. Instead of BYU, we could have had TMU because Thomas Marsh was supposed to lead the church. But Thomas also had some problems. He was caught up in some problems that were happening in Kirtland surrounding the Kirtland Safety Society, which was a bank that Joseph Smith and his fellow church leaders set up to try and alleviate some of the church's debt and also assist members of the church in Kirtland to have funds to purchase farms and build homes. The Kirtland Safety Society opened in the winter of 1837 and almost immediately ran into trouble. People from outside of Kirtland tried to bankrupt the bank by turning in their banknotes and taking the money out. There was some corruption inside the bank, none of it linked to Joseph Smith, but some people that did the things that they weren't supposed to do. And the bottom line was this bank that had been set up by the church failed, and it caused a lot of people to question their faith in the prophet. Thomas B. Marsh was upset over the bank, but also because Joseph Smith had sent apostles Heber C. Kimball and Orson Hyde on a mission to England without his permission, and Thomas felt like, as the president of the quorum, it was his job to do that. Section 112 tells Thomas B. Marsh that the first presidency is in charge of everything, including the Quorum of the 12, and also counsels him in verse 10, "Be thou humble, and the Lord thy God shall lead thee by the hand and give thee answer to thy prayers." Now, the good news is that Thomas B. Marsh repents at this time and does fulfill his calling and help Joseph Smith regulate some of the problems in the church. The difficulty is, about a year later, Thomas B. Marsh did apostatize from the church. He moved to Missouri, and in Far West, he got involved in a number of problems. The most famous story linked to Thomas B. Marsh's apostasy has to do with the cream strippings, where Thomas B. Marsh's wife and another woman in the town had agreed to share the cream that floats at the top of the milk. Thomas B. Marsh's wife apparently took more than her share, and it turned into a controversy that worked its way through each of the quorums of the church. At one point, George A. Smith actually remembered Thomas B. Marsh being so upset and so angry that he said he would sustain the character of his wife even if he had to go to hell for it. And he eventually did leave the church, though he came back 20 years later after his wife had passed away.